Welcome, Future Shapers! You've just tuned in to the nexus of inspiring leaders who share their successes and their failures. Insights that will motivate, educate, and illuminate your path to a very bright future. Welcome to Shaping the Future podcast. Here's your host, Greg Kell.
Hello, Future Shapers. It is time for the next episode of Shaping the Future podcast. Today, we're going to meet Cory Weck, the managing partner of the Personal Injury Division for McCune Wright Arevalo Attorneys at Law in Ontario, California. Cory, tell us about yourself.
Hi, thanks, Greg. Appreciate being here today. I'm an Inland Empire native, born and raised up in the San Bernardino Mountains. Went to high school up there. Decided to go back east, play football at a little school called Cornell University. Out of Cornell, I decided to forego my father's wishes, become a firefighter for LA City like him and his father before him, and I joined the United States Marine Corps. While in the Marine Corps, not only did I do my time as a grunt, but I ultimately attended law school, cut my teeth as a trial lawyer in the Marine Corps as both a prosecutor and a trial lawyer, and ultimately do those crazy things that we do, and was married, had a child, and decided I had to grow up and earn a real living to take care of my family. And from there, I joined a plaintiff's firm up here in Redlands about 15 years ago, and I've been here ever since.
Excellent. It sounds to me like you have a substantial background as an American, as a citizen, as a soldier, as a scholar, and as an attorney. But Cory, tell me, what are you most passionate about today?
Yeah, it's an easy one, Greg. It's taking care of the members of our community here in the Inland Empire. When bad things happen to good people, unfortunately, I'm usually the one that receives those kinds of calls. No one ever calls me because something good happens, but they know that when they call myself or my office, when they don't know where to turn, that we're going to provide the answers and guidance for them.
Sounds like you have confidence because of you know what you do and how to do it.
Well, I think that you have to have that. If your attorney doesn't have confidence in his capabilities or the capabilities of his staff, it's time for another lawyer.
Amen to that. Sometimes, however, no matter how much experience and confidence we have, sometimes things just don't go the way that we hope they will. Life throws us a little bit of a curveball. Tell me, Cory, a story about your worst experience as an attorney.
Well, I think any real trial lawyer, that's those of us who actually try cases in our courts versus the mass marketer advertisers you see on the side of a billboard or on a bus. Any trial lawyer worth his salt is going to take a difficult case to trial where there's a lot at risk and unfortunately you come back unsuccessful. I can think of one case that was a very serious brain injury case. We ultimately turned down a lot of money that had been offered to our client because it was woefully, even though for the layperson would have thought that it was a substantial amount of money, it was woefully inadequate for the injuries that he sustained. And he was going to require a lifetime of care because his brain damage was so severe that it required multiple medical specialists just to take care of him on a daily basis. We went to trial. We expended a substantial amount of costs on that trial, and the jury came back against us. And that happens, unfortunately. And that was one of those cases where it's difficult to rebound from, and one of those cases that you start to question whether or not you're in the right line of work.
It's pretty fundamental if you're questioning the root cause of what you're doing. Tell me, what lessons did you learn from this particular experience?
One thing I think that's important to realize is when people come in, they say, I want a pit bull. That's not necessarily the best thing to be. Being full of hubris and aggression sometimes blinds you to those areas in your case or those weaknesses that others have tried to raise to you, and you forego the friendly advice of others, and you march forward, unfortunately, to your detriment.
So sometimes overconfidence and hubris are our enemy,
Absolutely.
not our friend.
Absolutely.
How did this experience help you to become the success that you so obviously are today?
Well, it's not it's not just that one case, I can say. I'm always the first to tell new clients, or new lawyers more importantly, that you always have learned more from your failures than from your successes. And not that I've had a whole bunch of failures, but I've had my fair share.
Cory, we are at a cusp of a new year. 2018 is right around the corner. What is the most important goal or achievement that you intend to accomplish during 2018?
I think for the purpose of my firm and myself, it's to continue to build the practice here at McCune Wright Arevalo. My firm's been primarily known for class action work and mass tort work, and we want us to be known as the go-to firm in the Inland Empire for anyone who has a personal injury case.
And that's a challenge.
It is.
It's a challenge.
There's a lot of fantastic trial lawyers here, and I'm the first to tell those potential clients, if they're interviewing me and they're interviewing some of those other good lawyers, that they're talking to good lawyers. So those are our competition, people that I respect, people that I even refer cases to. But when it comes down to it, they're still my competition. But we're going to continue to press forward and build this practice.
Excellent. What are the biggest challenges you're facing right now, either as a managing partner or as an attorney?
I think, honestly, it's the political landscape. Let's be honest here. Most people don't like personal injury lawyers. They call us ambulance chasers. They think we're all out for the money. When the reality is that those like myself and those attorneys that I was just talking about, our competitors, we're here to take care of people. But unfortunately, you have politicians out there that are on a daily basis trying to take away your rights to receive compensation for injuries that were incurred through somebody else's negligence. And it happens even in the state of California with a democratically controlled legislature. There are plenty of state legislatures out there that will put their business interests ahead of you, their constituents.
Cory, I know you're a winner, but you're battling against these unseen forces that are huge. How can you possibly overcome challenges like that?
You keep your nose to the grindstone. You keep fighting the fight. You get involved with those organizations that are involved with the politicians, so that when that politician is making or proposing a new law that affects your client's rights, you have a face. You can show them somebody that's going to have a very seriously detrimental effect on that client's life for potentially the rest of their life. And so those attorneys that aren't involved with the various political organizations that we have, that have contacts within the state or even at the federal level, they're making a mistake by staying on the sidelines.
Excellent. So your involvement in the public square is part of your strategy to overcome those challenges.
It has to be. If you're not, you're going to be looking for another line of work real quick.
Well, speaking of another line of work, we're going to enter the Wayback Machine. Cory, we're going to go way back, and I want you to tell us a story. You remember how you felt when you first hung out your shingle, when you first became an attorney. How did you feel at that time? What concerns did you have?
Well, I was fortunate that I was on active duty as United States Marine when I was sworn into the California bar. So I knew I had a position somewhere, wherever the Marine Corps decided to place me. And sometimes the Marine Corps has the unique strategy of placing you in the last area you ever hoped to be serving in. It was a proud moment, but in all honesty, becoming a lawyer paled in becoming a United States Marine in my mind.
Interesting. Tell me about that time. Why did you choose to become the attorney that you are today?
I never really thought I'd be a lawyer. I knew I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted the challenge. I felt that the Marine Corps best represented what I thought my values were and the values that my parents taught me, and that basically stand up for the little guy and fight for what's right. And becoming a lawyer is almost secondary to that, in that I found a certain affection for the law and the utility of understanding the law. And once I went down that path, that's where I found my affinity for trial work. You don't put me in a room with contracts, don't put me in a room with documents to review ad nauseum. Put me in a courtroom, that's where I belong. I know there's two places that I've belonged. One is with my family. I should say three things. One is wearing that uniform, it says U.S. Marine, and then third, it's being in the courtroom.
Excellent. Cory, I know you, and I know that you're a winner. In order to be a winner, you have to have the right kind of clients to win for. Tell me about your ideal client at this time.
Well, like I said, nobody calls me because they want to tell me that something good happened to them. I often get the calls from the family that something has placed their loved one in the hospital where they're not getting answers. They don't know how they're going to continue to pay their mortgage. It's those people that are catastrophically injured that may not have a future if it's not for the efforts of our firm stepping in and maximizing the recovery on their behalf. We have the financial capability of taking on any defendant, including the United States government, who I've sued several times, even though I've served in uniform for the past 23 years. But we are in a unique position here at my firm that we can undertake the representation of the most seriously injured individuals against the most powerful and financially capable defendants in the country.
Excellent, excellent. So, Cory, we and the Future Shapers Nation are readers. We believe in continuously improving our knowledge and education through reading. Cory, is there a book you would recommend to the Future Shapers audience today, and why?
There's books, but unfortunately the ones that I would recommend probably would only be of interest to lawyers. And those lawyers deal with the psychology, those books deal with the psychology of juries, because nowadays we're dealing with a completely new generation of jurors, and we have to understand their psychology. So for the average person, honestly, I couldn't tell you a book that they would find of interest. But if you are thinking about the practice of law, or even more importantly, thinking about being a trial lawyer, there's several books out there that I would recommend. One's called The Reptile. The other one's called Rules of the Road. These are books that I've studied thousands and thousands and thousands of jurors and understood the psychology behind why a jury rules a certain way. And if you're an attorney or anyone thinking about going down that path, you have to read these books.
Psychology is very important, because at the end of the day, you are totally in a people business, understanding people, motivating people to be their best, and quite frankly, protecting them. You're like a sheepdog. You're out protecting the sheep out there.
It's funny that you say that, because that's the way we in the Marine Corps look at ourselves. That we're the sheepdogs protecting the flock from the wolves and the dangers that exist just beyond the campfire.
Excellent. Cory, we as future shapers understand that simple actions and habits over time work together to create a better future. What are you doing now to shape your future?
Well, I can tell you I'm heavily involved in a lot of local charity organizations to raise funds for those children that may not have a Christmas. I just went to one for an organization called Santa Claus Inc., where it was heartbreaking to hear that a child's sole wish was to have a pillow so that they could sleep better in the bathtub that was their bed. I'm going later on this evening to have dinner with some other attorneys with some of our local state senators to discuss some of the legislation that's at the state level that's going to have an impact not only on my practice of law, but everybody here in the Inland Empire. And we feel it's important that we continue that open line of communication with those politicians, hence my going to dinner tonight with them.
Have a good dinner. And thank you for helping to shape our politicians and their future as well.
Well, we're trying as best we can, sometimes a little tough.
We at Shaping the Future believe that our nation, Cory, is at a tipping point. Quite frankly, it could go either direction. We're just not sure where it's going to go. We also believe that as citizens, we're obliged to gently shape our nation's future in a positive direction. Tell me, Cory, what is America to you?
America to me, and I can say this because I've been all over the world. I've deployed to multiple countries wearing the uniform of our nation as a Marine. And I can tell you, and I wish I could invite friends, and more importantly, sometimes my own family, to see some of the way that most of the world lives. And you come back, and you come down to my sleepy little town there in Redlands, and you thank God that you were fortunate enough to be born into a country like this, where, for the most part, our streets are safe. You're not worried about whether or not you're going to even make it home that day. And those are legitimate concerns in many of these third world countries that I've been to, that we just have zero appreciation for what most of the world has to endure. And I wish more people could experience that and get out and see the world. And you'd certainly appreciate more what we have here if you were able to experience it.
We don't want to take the blessings and the freedom that our nation provides us for granted.
Absolutely, and I think sometimes there's a big push to restrict those freedoms, and that push is going to be detrimental to the lifestyle that we all experience now. The government, I don't know whether you keep this or not, but I don't think the government is your friend when it comes to taking care of your family. And people have to understand that it's the individuals within your community that are looking out for each other. It's like your neighbors. You know, the police can only respond so quickly, but your neighbors can see and respond immediately. And that's what's important to realize, is rely on your community first, because the government's there not to take care of you.
Shock. I am totally shocked that a government is not our best friend. There's more value in our community. Shock.
I don't know if we're so much shocked.
That's straight out of Casablanca. Okay, now Cory, I'm going to put you up on a pedestal for a moment. What big advice can you share with the Future Shapers audience today?
Big advice? Well, I can tell you my son, who I constantly give advice to, clearly hasn't listened at all. But my biggest things would be do the right thing. Just do the right thing. If you cause an accident, do the right thing and accept responsibility for it. Make up for that harm that you've caused. If you know that you're in the wrong, admit that you're wrong. Accept that responsibility. And I think that if we all went that step further, we'd be that much closer, to be honest, no longer needing attorneys like myself. I often have to step into those cases, whether it's the individual, it's a corporation, or it's an insurance company that refuses to do the right thing. And if they did the right thing, you wouldn't need me.
And there we have it, a value bomb dropped by Cory Weck. Do the right thing, take responsibility, and I'm going to add my own little, live with integrity.
Absolutely. Great advice.
Cory, thank you for sharing with the Future Shapers audience. Please share with our audience how the listeners can contact you and what benefit they might receive when they do contact you.
Sure, Greg. So if you feel that you need representation because something truly tragic has happened to you as a result of somebody else's negligence, you can either look at our website. That's www.mccuneWright.com. That's McCuneWright. Or you can contact our office at 909-557-1250. And please understand that there's no charge to even come and sit down with me, meeting with me. Sometimes you may not even have a case, but I can help guide you in the direction so that you understand what your rights are. And that's at no charge to you. So feel free to pick up that phone and give us a call.
Thank you, Future Shapers, for reaching out to Cory Weck. And stay tuned for the next episode of Shaping the Future podcast. It's right down the road. Good day, everybody.
Thank you for joining this episode of Shaping the Future podcast. We leave you, future shapers, with this challenge. Act boldly today to shape your future, because if you don't, it will absolutely be shaped for you.